Hello guys, Bellady here. So lately I've been spending a lot of time here on this lovely website known as Kiwi Farms, just reading about random stuff, just learning about whatever random people I stumble across, and this seems rather interesting. So it's the Blue Moon Nursery by Smurf in Hand, Baby Smurf, Gore, Snuff, Torture Pornography. OP here, Judge Holden, says it's worse than Pampachew, Nick Bates, and Old McJacob. So, I just thought it might be fun. If you see the website, you can see it here. It's a crazy looking website, quite charming in fact. But there's a whole interactive, well not really interactive, but you can see there's like a whole story here with animations and everything about well, here it says it tells a story spanning years and 8 pages of how one person's obsession with the Smurfs I don't want to spoil it for myself, but there's apparently Baby Smurf gore, torture and pornography, and it seems quite interesting. I just thought I'd read it, and maybe you'd like to come along on this journey with me. So let's begin. Posted on the 22nd of the 7th, 2008. Hello all. I recently felt inspired to create more Smurf pictures. I've been rather fascinated by the idea of somehow meeting a Smurf, particularly a baby Smurf, so I made a story about what I'd probably do. For the bathtub scene I relied on the episode Jokey's Funny Bone for pictorial reference, but the rest of it is pretty much freehand. The bathtub scene. I came home to a single package waiting on my doorstep, a small wooden box with ventilation holes in one side and a live specimen label. The box had been addressed to a research lab down the road but had no return address. Normally I would have left the box to be re-delivered to the proper place, but I heard a faint noise emanating from it. It sounded like crying. Imagine my surprise when I opened the small crate. Inside the cramped confines, on a coarse bed of wood shavings, lay a baby Smurf. The poor creature looked up at me, trembling with fear and bewilderment, a single tiny tear rolling down his cheek. I wanted to reassure the dear tiny blue infant that I wasn't going to hurt him. I'd never seen a Smurf before, and I tried to recall anything I'd read about them, particularly about baby Smurfs on the bluebuddies.com website, which is this website. I looked down at him and touched his tail. What a soft, squishy little tail it was. I couldn't resist poking it. The Smurf baby initially flinched, but then a shy smile crept up on his little blue face. He was enjoying my affection. Gazing at his adorable tiny face, I decided to give the little baby Smurf's bulbous little nose a playful tweak. The baby Smurf giggled and began to wiggle his tail with glee. I continued to play with his little nose, relieved that I had been able to bring the Lilliputian infant to a sense of ease so quickly. I realized that I'd have to contact the Blue Moon Nursery later on to obtain special food and care, but I truly would like to keep him. And look at this, just... I guess the guy's real finger in GIF form? I don't know. According to the postmark, I don't know, the little Smurf had been shut up in that dark box for a day and a half. The poor creature was exhausted, thirsty and hungry. I let him sleep after feeding him. When he awoke he was initially scared and disoriented, but I soon calmed him. The poor baby Smurf's pajamas were soiled. After some trial and error, amid his squirming, I managed to remove them. Filling a small dollhouse tub with warm water, I placed the blue infant inside and he was soon giggling and splashing about as I gently washed his tiny, delicate body and limbs. We're only this far down. Oh my god. I had wanted to wash Baby Smurf's hat along with his pajamas, but when I plucked it off his head, he let out a startled yelp. Immediately covering his bold blue little scalp as best as he could with his miniature hands, he began to whimper and sob piteously. He looks pleadingly up at me and at the little white Smurf hat that I held in my hand. I promptly placed it back on his head and he sighed with relief. I found an old but clean sock and nudged the baby Smurf until he backed inside. It fit him nicely as a sleeping bag. I placed a pincushion under his head for a pillow, and turning the lights low let him snuggle down and get some more sleep. That's it for now. Oh, that's so cute. Interesting story and animation. Thanks. I only know how to make simple GIFs for animation, and something gets lost when I compress them for the site. I wanted to make the story sound somewhat believable and placed in modern times, so simply encountering a Smurf out in the woods didn't appeal to me. With this story I could justify keeping and taking care of the baby Smurf, since there was no way to find out where he came from, and I certainly wasn't going to deliver him to the lab. Especially when there's a professional Smurf nursery run by caring humans that could advise me. Though I've never seen a Smurf episode where this was depicted, I am a staunch believer that Smurfs can and do wiggle their tails on occasion, and that baby Smurfs do so even more frequently. Look at Big George's. He's a super Smurf. He's got a crazy profile pic. The Smurfs in my fanfiction stories for the most part tend to use their tails mostly to hold their pants, and skirts in Smurfette's case up. Though my fanfiction creation Empath inadvertently rescued another character creation of mine, Polaris Psyche, from falling down a cliff when he grabbed onto what he thought was a rock outcropping, but it turned out to be Empath's tail. This is only mentioned in one of my reporter's inside stories, which in one of them Hefty says something like, "It's my opinion, and just like Smurf tails, every Smurf's got one." That is so sweet. I can't wait to see more. I'm trying to find page 2. I'm glad my depictions of Baby Smurf resonated with you. I'm certain I will do more drawings with stories. It's been a long time since I had any ideas, but at the moment I'm feeling rather inspired. I'll probably do more along the same theme as this one. P.S. You know, Vic, I never thought about the tails, but they are formed like knobs that wouldn't allow something to easily slip off. It makes sense. Alright, here we go. The story of my rescued baby Smurf continues. This depiction is probably the closest I'll ever get to actually holding a baby Smurf. I don't know. Eventually, I'd like to actually make a gif of the baby Smurf hiding in and then shyly poking his head out of the sock I had him sleeping in. After I got off the phone with the Blue Moon Nursery, I saw that the baby Smurf had awakened and was hiding in the sock which I had given him to sleep in. The timid little creature was still leery of me, but I eventually coaxed him out. While his pajamas were still drying, I plucked the naked little blue infant up and cupped his tiny warm body in the palm of my hand. The baby Smurf squealed with delight, rocking back and forth as he gazed up at me. I had set an appointment at the nursery for tomorrow, but for now I had a shopping list to follow as the nursery staff suggested. Frozen Smurf berry juice, organic cotton cloth for diapers, vegan soap, non-allergenic stainless steel safety pins, and baby powder. In the upcoming segments, I will bring my shy little blue infant to the Blue Moon Nursery for a medical exam and learn more about Smurfs in general from the non-profit organisation. Baby's gone naked! Hehe, that's super cute. Recently I've been listening to an audio rendition of a book called Inkheart. In it, the main character can read characters from pages of text and bring them into our world. That got me thinking how cool it would be if I really had that talent. I could read the latest parts of my own story and this tiny, playful, naked baby Smurf would appear in my hand. I'd give anything. And this guy is called Smurf in Hand, and his profile picture is him crushing a Smurf to death in his grip. Hello Smurf in Hand. I really like your story. It's really cute. While I was reading it, I got inspired and decided to make some 3D animations with Smurfs of my own. I just wanted to ask you, what program do you use to create Baby Smurf? The tiny infant Smurf will get his health exam. In the segment after this, we'll start to learn more about how Smurfs fit into the alternative reality of my story. The very next morning, I carefully dressed the baby Smurf in his clean little Smurf pajamas. His constant squirming and my fear of inadvertently harming his delicate body made the task rather challenging. I donned my jacket and then plopped the tiny blue infant into one of its spacious pockets. I went outside, got into my car, and started it. The baby Smurf was startled by the engine noise and dived to the bottom of the pocket. I couldn't see him, but I could feel him trembling. This was the first time I had taken him outdoors since I had found him in that stuffy shipping crate. I spoke to the tiny being in a reassuring voice, trying to calm him. I'd have stroked his tail again if reaching into my pocket to locate it wouldn't have been so distracting for driving. We were headed for the Blue Moon Nursery, which was located in a small town 30 minutes up the coast. From time to time, curiosity got the better of the little blue creature, and I'd see him briefly poke his tiny head out for a peek. At last, I pulled my car into the nursery's small parking lot, and going inside, met the receptionist with whom I had spoken yesterday. Such an adorable story. Keep on always smurfing. This is just a wall of text. The baby Smurf goes for his medical exam. Unfortunately, it's to be discovered that on the weekends the nursery is staffed by a less than affectionate medical professional. Oh no. I know I was going to say more about the ecology of Smurfs in this world, but I still haven't decided what to write. Perhaps I'll just let the way the baby Smurf had been found at the story's beginning be a hint that Smurfs and humans don't interact unless the Smurf is captured or rescued in the wilderness. Fear not, the next chapter will show our intrepid little blue infant back in good spirits. And I'll try to increase the picture to text ratio. Thank God. I know it's starting to get a bit much to read. I kept having to make the background on this picture larger as I added more words. Edit. I changed the picture. I didn't think the first picture had the head quite Smurf shaped. It was too round. A stern-looking nurse guided me down the hall, explaining that on the weekend she was the only medical staff on duty. We passed by a windowed room where a half-dozen or so baby Smurfs slept and played, attended to by a pleasant-looking lady that had obviously loved her tiny charges. An armed security guard stood outside the door for the fucking Smurf nursery. Further down, we entered the examination room. I tried to reassure the Smurf baby that it was okay as I took him out of my pocket and handed him over to the nurse. With an efficient hand, she immediately stripped off the tiny Smurf's pajamas and his Smurf hat, plopping him onto the cold metal exam table. The exposed little blue infant was a pitiful sight, shivering from the touch of the cold metal on his bare skin. He whimpered as he did the day before when I tried to remove his little hat. I was about to say something to the nurse about it, but she now acted like I wasn't even in the room as she went about the exam. When she produced a tiny glass thermometer, I knew what was coming and simply had to look away. Wincing with empathy when I heard the little creature's distressed squeak. At last, the ordeal was over, and my baby Smurf was declared to be in fine health. I finished up the paperwork in the reception area as the traumatized little being hid in my coat pocket. Later, back at my home, I consoled the little blue creature, affectionately stroking and squeezing its soft knob of a tail for nearly half an hour, before he reverted to his playful and carefree demeanour. I thought that while the weekend nurse may have done her job by the book, I was still stunned that she hadn't made any effort to treat such a precious, sentient being with the dignity that it truly deserved. I don't have a picture for the next part of the story, but I was experimenting with the baby Smurf's body proportions from the above picture. Now baby is truly naked. Yet another baby Smurf picture, a naked baby Smurf picture for you, Vic. The weekend after I took my baby Smurf to the Blue Moon Nursery, I decided to bring the tiny blue creature outdoors. I carefully supervised as he frolicked through the grass of my backyard lawn. I planned on watering the lawn today, so during the week I purchased a miniature plastic swimming pool for the little Smurf. I picked up the wriggling creature and brought him over to the pool, in which I'd already filled with water and a tiny floating duck toy. Unhooking the safety pin, I removed the tiny scrap of organic cotton cloth that served as his diaper whenever I let him crawl around indoors. I found a pattern online for making the special diapers, which were designed to allow the Smurf's tail to poke through. As soon as I placed the disrobed blue infant into the water and let it go, it squealed with delight and began splashing water all over the diminutive pool. Looking at the wee baby Smurf's soft little body, I felt suddenly compelled to poke its blue tummy. At first the baby Smurf looked warily as my finger neared his abdomen, but once I began gently poking it, he squeaked merrily. We played this game for a few minutes, and feeling comfortable with leaving him alone, I commenced to water the lawn. So yeah, these people are obsessed with naked baby Smurfs. It's starting to get scary now, this story. I think this will be the last part of the story for now. I wonder if this would have made a decent picture storybook. Summer had finally arrived. It turned out that the affectionate caretaker of the Blue Moon Nursery also made miniature baby Smurf clothes as a hobby and sold a few of them. I visited the place during the week when it was safe to bring my tiny blue companion along and purchased for him a sunbonnet and glasses to protect his delicate face from the sun's rays. By this time, I had also named my adopted baby Smurf. Oh cool. I called him Blueberry because that's just what he looked like. A plump, little ripe blueberry. Taking him home, I switched out his regular Smurf hat for the bonnet while he napped. When he awoke, he seemed pleased with the new headgear and eyewear, so I took him out to the backyard and let him play in the grass all afternoon. This would make an adorable storybook. At least you got some clothes on the kid now, yells if you care. Cool sunglasses, Smurf in hand. I love baby in the pool too. Poke, giggle, poke, giggle. Wow. well, I suppose that's the end for now. That was page 1 of this story. Still no torture or gore or snuff, but I am very intrigued. I am quite scared for what the future holds. Hopefully you enjoyed. Sorry if I'm not the best at talking. I'm just reading this as I go along, and I don't make videos that often. I've never really done this before, but I thought it might be interesting, might be funny, might be scary, probably both. That's why I like Kiwi Farms. You just see some interesting stuff. Yeah, good or bad. But yeah, that was all for now. Hopefully you'll stay tuned for part 2, where Smurf in hand, I have no idea, takes his Smurf Blueberry back to the Blue Moon Nursery, and the evil nurse, I don't know, fucking murders the shit out of him. See you!